TCI is brought to you by Escandarea, the most dominant 3-year-old this decade. Seeing is believing at eskyonthego.com.
Welcome back to TCI, your inside track to the Triple Crown. I'm John Siegel alongside Joel Cunningham. Joel, before we start the show, let's give some congratulations to the Big Blue Nation.
Absolutely.
The Kentucky Wildcats take home John Calipari's first national title.
John, I was down in New Orleans, and the Big Blue Nation was representing them. That city was painted blue. That was good to see. Obviously based out of Lexington here and out of Kentucky, John. The horse racing industry's tied so much in the UK, a lot of crossover. So
Right.
Congratulations to the Cats fans that are in our industry for the big win.
All right, Joel, you mentioned you were down in Louisiana, so let's talk Louisiana Derby first. We had $1 million up for grabs. Joel, a 99-1 shot takes home the 99th running of the Louisiana Derby. He earned $600,000 for this win, but doesn't guarantee him a spot in the Derby.
You know, it's disappointing in that regard that you're going to have such a good race like the Louisiana Derby and its winner potentially not being able to get into the Kentucky Derby because he wasn't Triple Crown nominated, John. So here's how it works. Any horse that is Triple Crown nominated that wants to run, doesn't matter about the graded earnings, they're going to get in over this horse, which is very unfortunate in that respect. They can pay $200,000, which is a third of what he won Sunday,
Right.
if they want to run in the Derby, but they're going to need 19 or less starters, and I think the field's going to be oversubscribed this year, so I don't think we're going to see a winner here of order in the race.
All right, let's talk about the race for a minute. Joel, I was watching on TV. It looked like the track was favoring speed to me.
I definitely think it was, John. I mean, you look right now at the Twin Spires TV race replay, and what do you see here? You see Hero of Order and Eddie Martin Jr., a local rider, down on the fence. It wasn't a fast pace. You see him finishing up here. He takes advantage of that. And you see here your favorite, Mark Valesky, trying to get to him, John.
Right.
But the bottom line is speed was not backing up at that track. It's been playing very fast and very typey. And Hero of Order holds off Mark Valesky in this race. The thing that you have to bring up is the fact that that track has not played the same since they had to cancel racing a couple weeks ago and they had that big rain down there. What's happened was the local horsemen say that a lot of the mud was washed away from the track. It's very sand-based now, and it's very packed down, particularly the closer you get to the rail. So we've been seeing a lot of fast times, and we've been seeing speed go on. I mean, 47 on that track for a half mile was a slow pace. Hero of Order was able to take advantage of that, and that's why you got the money.
All right, speaking of the money, this is the time of year where graded earnings are very important. Joel, we see Mark Valesky is now below Rousing Sermon, a horse that he outran in this race.
Yeah, it's disappointing. Mark Valesky's now 17. You mentioned Rousing Sermon on all that California graded back class. He had enough money, even though he was beaten by Mark Valesky, you know, to now be in a little better position. He's in the 16th spot. But I look at some of these horses in front of him on the list, like Drill, and there are some others, probably aren't going to make the Kentucky Derby gate. Unfortunately for these horses like Mark Valesky, El Padrino, we'll talk about him a little bit shortly, they're on the bottom half of that 20 currently. There's a lot of graded money left on the table, John. You have the Wood Memorial, Illinois Derby, obviously this weekend, Santa Anita Derby, a lot of money left, and I think they're in jeopardy, serious jeopardy of getting bypassed in here, which is a little disappointing because Mark Valesky, let me tell you, he looks the part. I was in the paddock first time I saw him in person. He has that big horse look to him, and I think he has a bright future, but he's in jeopardy now making the Derby.
All right, you mentioned El Padrino. Let's switch now to the Florida Derby. Joel, looking at the Louisiana Derby on Friday, we were a little surprised that Todd decided to keep El Padrino there for the Florida Derby. Thought maybe he had a better chance. You mentioned he's in trouble now with the graded earnings, but let's talk Florida Derby for a second. We said it would be very interesting to see how these two horses break out of the gate and what kind of race riding it would be between him and Union Rags.
Right.
Tell me about the race. It sized up exactly as you said on Friday.
Well, it was a concise field and it lacked speed. We knew that going in. So we really thought that Take Charge Indy could take advantage of that lack of speed and maybe get away with some easy fractions in here. And he did just that. I mean, if you look at that second and third quarter, that's where he wins this race. They go 24 and change in both of those quarters. And if you're a good quality horse at Gulfstream Park, it's going to be hard to run you down, particularly if you're inside speed like he was. For me, Union Rags is still the fastest horse, and I think he ran well enough in the Florida Derby with that trouble trip and galloped out well enough. Again, that was just a prep race. Michael Matt's always said that they're trending this horse up to an A-plus performance on May 5th. So I'll give him a pass on this performance in here. I saw enough. I'm still leaving him number one as your horse to beat. Now, El Padrino, I think he's a horse very interesting in the Derby picture. I think he might have bounced a little bit. He has the numbers. He has the right style. He'll get a better pace in the Derby, but now they're in jeopardy of getting in. I'm leaving him at 3, but he's in serious jeopardy.
All right, let's talk about a horse that put him in some jeopardy. It's Daddy Longlegs, Joel. He wins the UAE Derby. He roars onto the list with $1.2 million in earnings. Connections say they're coming to the Derby.
Yeah, and here's another son of Scat Daddy that loves a synthetic surface. So it shouldn't be much of a surprise the fact that this horse ran so well. He had that good back class in Europe, obviously, on the turf. But, I look at this horse, John, and we know how good that Breeders' Cup Juvenile is. It's been a productive race. Right. Even horses like Daddy Longlegs in Perspective that haven't run well, didn't run well in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, have come back to run well. So it was a very quality field in there. But I look at a horse like Daddy Longlegs, and Daddy knows best. These horses that are by Scat Daddy like the synthetic and the turf a little bit. And I'll see their dirt form, particularly Daddy Longlegs and how poorly he ran the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. I really question what kind of a Derby contender he is. So for me, that race, I look at all 3 of these races this past week, and they were all very similar. You had 3 races with questionable pace scenarios and questionable tracks, whether it be the Tapeta surface, speed favoring track, maybe at Gulfstream and Fairgrounds, and that's why you had long shot winners or upsets at least in all 3 races. Horses take advantage of that pace scenario.
Well, Joel, it's getting very exciting. It's going to be an exciting show on Thursday as well. Make sure you come back. We're going to preview the Illinois Derby, the Santa Anita Derby, and also the Wood Memorial.